Let's just talk for a second about altitude. When you sing very, very high, let's say you get a guest performance in Aspen or someplace that is a very high altitude. Aspen is 8,000 feet above sea level. Now, when I studied flying, I became a pilot, they instruct you that there are the 3 H's you must beware of: height, heat, and humidity. So on a very humid day, you literally have less air in your lungs when you take a breath. If it's very high altitude, you have less air, and that air has less oxygen in it, right? The other thing is that hot air, if it's a very hot day, it makes the air thinner, literally, and you have less oxygen in the air. So when you're running an airplane at a high altitude and you're in Aspen and trying to take off from there, you realize you can't even fly a normal 2-seater airplane. You need a 4-seater airplane with a bigger motor to get the performance of a 2-seater because you're already so high. You're already 8,000 feet above sea level. So when I breathe, normally I would breathe like this. Is that going to be enough? If I'm at a high altitude, what do? Breathe more? Well, it's always a good thing to walk around all day breathing to develop your capacity. But the truth is you need to arrive early in these very high altitudes, and then hopefully when you get to Aspen, you won't have a hot, rainy day in the summer festival. So you'll have altitude and heat and rain, in other words, humidity, and the first thing you know, you're gasping, you don't have any air, you keep running out of breath. Anything we compress gets smaller. If I have this much air and I compress it, I should have that much. But what if I'm breathing high and thin air, hot air, and I'm breathing, I only get this much. Then when I compress anything thinner, what happens? It goes, not only have that much breath to use. So this is just a thought to throw in. It reminded me when I was doing the one on allergies, how you shouldn't leak. Well, when you go to sing at a high altitude, you really should arrive early. Right? I mean, I've sung in Aspen a lot. I sang in Santa Fe, some places that are very high. I think Santa Fe, was 7,000, and Aspen was 8,000. And some of my colleagues were literally choking. They could not sing because they had no breath. I remember the head flute player for the Aspen Orchestra used to arrive a month early and make it a big vacation, and he'd swim every day and he'd hike in the mountains. By the time the concert started, he was fabulous. He and that famous oboist from Chicago. I've forgotten his name. Forgotten his name. But you think about it. Breathe, and when you know you're going to high altitude, and especially if it's humid and hot, be prepared to not have any air because you will put the compression on your breath like this to sing, depending on what you're singing. If you're singing big dramatic music, you need a lot of compression. It gets even less air supply. So just keep that up, chalk that up in your memory and say, if I'm going to sing in Aspen or Santa Fe or someplace, I'm going to arrive early. Okay? Bye.